We'll be doing that from now on, just so recording, so I can kind of see where we're at, monitor what we're doing, and how things are going. But good. But first of all, hey, we had a great event Saturday. I had a good time out there kicking it. As you guys see, Lisa just put the pictures in the WhatsApp. But yeah, we had a good time. Go ahead, Roy. You want to talk about that? What happened? What we experienced this past weekend?
Yeah, we had a great experience at the Park Fest. It's an annual festival for our church, the Park Church, and it was a glorious event. We had about 40 vendors out there. We had people coming through all throughout the community. Um, my son had I had posted a Facebook posting, and my son he what they said he does forwarded it. I guess that's what you call it. And two of his friends came by the booth to see me, so that was cool. And we just had a great time laughing with Kyle and Lisa and meeting people and talking to folks we haven't seen in a while from a church and, getting a lot of leads out the deal. So it was great fun.
And real quick, talk to everybody of the difference between going out there, like Friday we went out and we went door knocking with Don, and
Mm.
we had a good time. We was out there. Basically, I just wanted to show Don how we work it out there. We didn't get any sales, but we did get some leads. Lisa picked up a lead, and I got somebody for the contact today. But talk to them. You've been out door knocking with us, and the difference between doing events like that compared to being out there door knocking.
Yeah, with events like this, the target, which is people who may have the opportunity, to hear what we're talking about, is more targeted. They're coming by your booth intentionally. You're not knocking on their door. You're not, you know, inconveniencing them. They may be doing something else to come to the door, not expecting you. They're expecting to come to see whatever's out there that may interest them. So when you have an opportunity to get in front of them, it's a better opportunity than I wouldn't say better opportunity, but it's a more targeted opportunity than an actual door knock because probably the numbers of interested folks are probably higher than you 50-50 chance you knocking on somebody's door and they want to get the information that you want to give to them.
And I love that too because it's a different, it's a change of pace.
Right.
You know what I mean? We were out there all day. We got a
Oh
chance.
yeah. Let me just say this: and you weren't outside in the 100-degree heat. We were in the air conditioning. We don't take that for granted at all.
Right
But
at all.
sweating and I'm getting up there too, like Kyle. I'm not as old as he is, but I'm getting there. And that heat starts to wear on you after a while, and
Yeah.
anybody for that matter. And not having to be out in the heat was also another blessing. So anytime you can get opportunities like that, I would say take them as much as possible.
And remember, you don't want to, again, out there doing it, door knock, whatever, things like that. That's just to get you going, get it started. It doesn't have to be forever. You know what I mean? But if you need to see people, whatever, that's you go back to what you know. Grab some leads, go out to hit some doors. But other than that, if you know venues you can get to, place you can, what's the trade shows or business expos or whatever, you can set up a booth, be there, and let people meet you. And I mean, how much did we have to pay to be there?
Was $50,
So
but
$50. So we split
split it
that.
between the two of us.
And you think we got $50 worth of $25 worth of leads?
Heck yeah, we got 27 leads. So that's like what, 75 cent a lead or something like that.
Exactly. And how long were we there for?
3-4 hours.
3 4 hours. Had a good time. We ate. That $50 also came with what, meal tickets?
Oh yeah, meal tickets, food, and also not every event's gonna be like this though. But it included lunch. $15 worth of food. You had food trucks in the back. Also, you got to get some free. I could say gifts, but I guess there were gifts, free gifts. Anywhere from
We went shopping.
you went shopping. Really, you get Pampers, you get pajamas, you can get anything they had there, which was like batteries for your car. I mean, it was just amazing opportunity. So
Right.
we had
So
a great time.
yeah, we had a good time. Outstanding. Enjoyed it. Good. Okay, great. So good. So basically, so right now, what I want to do is I wanted to kind of highlight a couple things. Today's Founders Day. So for those of you who know, that's why I say get the text out to your people, let them know. Today's Founders Day. What does that mean? Today is Jack London's day. It's Founders Day. So when he founded the company. So basically, they're giving out $960 10 times. Let me say that again. $960 to applications that are put in today, 10 times. So that means, you can randomly be picked. And if your application gets picked, you put something in today, you could win $960. You can win as many times as possible. They're going to do it 10 different times. So give out $9,600, but 10 times. Today is called Founders Day. So go ahead and write some business, get it in today, and you could have an opportunity to win $960 just for writing the app, plus the commission you're going to get on top of that. All right. Any questions about that? That's today only. Any questions about that? Today only. That's what I say. Get this text out to people, get them on this so they can hear what we're talking about, because right now there's people that are missing it. They could be getting a sale. They don't even know what's happening. All right. Also, too, 8K gets you a ticket in the car. So right now, today's Monday. We got till Thursday, close of business Thursday. What's that mean? That means basically you can get 8K by Thursday, close of business Thursday, and you get a ticket in for UBI's car giveaway. And we've been doing this ever since the beginning of the year. But they're going to do the drawing August 8th at the first Friday down in Sumter, South Carolina. So you got to be down there to win. So if they pull your name and you're not there, you got a ticket in there, you're not there, you don't win. So you got to be present, you got to be there. But they're going to do the drawing, and they're going to be giving it away down in something. I'm not sure exactly if it's going to be at the building or if it's going to be somewhere else. But I know where we had before, they actually had the cars inside a location, and we were there. So people got to see the cars and everything, but they gave them away. So think about it. 8K, wherever you are right now, if you get the 8K, you can actually get a ticket. And so if you're at 0 right now, all you need is basically 13 sales by Thursday that pay, and you could have 8,000 average premium at $50. You could get in there. So think about it, wherever you are, all you need is 8K to get a ticket in there, and you got a chance. A free car to give away. All you gotta do is go to work and give away free. And since we've been here, I've seen them give away at least 5 cars. 5 cars. So I mean, it's been crazy, but I've been watching them do it, and now they're giving away another 2. So it's gonna be 7 cars since we've been with them. And this is UBI, not Lincoln Heritage. UBI giving away cars. Dr. Wilson and the crew giving away cars. I mean, that's crazy for a ticket. That's it. I mean, that's phenomenal. So any questions on that? Any questions? Pass that out to your team members. If they're not on there right now, they need to hear about that. Card giveaway, also too, $960 for application put in the day. So what I want to do is I want to focus on today about the framework of a sale. And I want to kind of utilize the in-home survey. So if we take a look at that with the in-home survey, there's a couple of things that we want to focus on. And I know some people might be having some, I don't want to say challenges, but just maybe basically might be looking at something from a different point of view. So what I want to do is let's just add a little substance to what we're talking about. A lot of times we might say certain things, and I don't know if people are grasping everything just because we're saying it. So I want to kind of really key in that today. All right, so everybody can see that, right? So with the home survey, I love this, especially if you're brand new. If you got some new people on the team and they're not using this, they need to use this, because this is what it's going to do. The framework of a sale. There's 3 things that you need. First of all, number 1, you need a why. All right, so you want to write it down. You need a why and a clear identification of the why. So the why. Number 2 is the pain. Okay, you got to identify the pain. And not only do you identify, but you want to stir the pain. Stir the pain in what we're doing. And then number 3 is the how. How do you plan to solve this? So they got to pay. How do you plan to solve it? And so basically, so the why, the pain, and the how. All right. And so basically, with this, let me show you why it's important. Because when you look at the in-home survey, it identifies all of this. But some people might not realize they're just reading questions. So I want them to understand the framework of getting a sale. And what did you have in mind when you sent this in? So think about that. That's the why. Think about the why right there. And if you don't identify the why, you can't move forward. The sale will never go through because you haven't identified the why. So when we ask this question here, what did you have in mind when you sent this in? So whether you sent in a direct mail piece, whether you called in, whether it's a survey lead, or whether it's a web you know, Facebook, Instagram. What did you have in mind? You got to identify that why. Get them to tell you why. And if you can't identify it, your sale won't go through because you haven't identified the why. You just read a question and they said, "Oh, I don't know." That's not identifying the why. I don't know why I said it. I filled out a bunch of them. Why? What was it? What's going on in the family? What's happening? Why did you feel? Most times, why do people feel something out? Why do they do it? What's usually going on?
Either somebody they know died or a family member did, and then now thinking about it.
Okay, so let me share something with you. And the reason why I brought this up because Lisa and I we was at church yesterday, and somebody came up to us. You know, dear, you know we love them. Been with us for a while. You know, we've been to church, so we've known them for a long since we've been there. But and Lisa was like, "Wow, we talked years ago, and yet never, ever, ever, you know, brought anything up about it. Know what we do, know what's going on, but now all of a sudden there was a difference. And guess what? What was the difference?
Somebody died or is dying.
There's a why now. Go ahead, Lisa. Looks like you want to talk.
No, no. Top of the morning, everybody. Um, no, I didn't want to talk. I was just going to make sure they understood. I talked to this person a couple years ago um, about getting coverage for them and their family. And like Roy said, now we're not claiming that death is coming, but there are some medical issues now. So they came up to me yesterday and, pulled me aside and said, and they were at the event yesterday at the Saturday's event at the church. And they were like, can you find out? I need to, get some coverage or talk about getting some coverage on so and so. And I'm like, absolutely. So we'll be talking on Wednesday. But I think back to years ago, a couple years ago, it could have been done then. And it just, but again, just speaking to people and telling people about what we do and how, and but it's when they're just ready to do it. We can't force anybody to do anything, but now they're ready. So just, but they know we do that. So that's the point, I think.
Right. Not being a secret agent. So not being a secret agent, knowing what we do. And like I said, basically, no doesn't mean no. It just means not now. But look at what happens. 2 years later, what does that mean? What does that mean for the client? What does that mean for the client?
What do you mean?
Are they unhealthy?
Yeah,
Oh, it's 2 year wait period.
yeah, see? So now, 2 years later, it's gotten worse. It's going to be more expensive. And now it could be modified. It would have been cheaper and you might have been same day coverage. Now, because stuff is going on, but guess what? It's the why. You got to get to the why. So now we stir the pain. Now, in this case, you don't have to stir the pain because the pain is already there. If you don't stir the pain when you're talking to them, the pain is going to come eventually. Everybody get that? So what do I mean when I say stir the pain? First of all, you identify the why, and then after that, now you got the pain. So you start pain. I know it seems brutal, but you know what's worse? Not having funds to bury your loved one. Ask the question: what if something happened to you? God forbid, what would your family do? Who's going to pay for this? Who's going to be responsible for this? Now look at this. Look at what it says. Have you attended a funeral in the past 2 years? If so, if you wouldn't mind sharing, what are we doing right here? If they say yes, what are you actually doing? You're stirring the pain. You're literally stirring the pain. Would you mind sharing? Have you been to a funeral in the past 2 years? Most people are gonna say yes. Would you mind sharing? We're stirring the pain. Have you been financially responsible for funeral arrangements? What is that? That's the pain. Yes, I had to put some money in. Yes, I had to contribute to GoFundMe. Now, who will be in charge of your funeral arrangements someday? They're going to identify the person. How? So the third one is how. So who will be this person for you? Okay, is this person financially in a position to take care of a funeral for you if you died early? How do you intend for funeral arrangements to be paid? So look what happens. So now you're getting the how. How's it going to get done? How? So have you been looking for something for a while, or you just haven't started? You know, what have you come up with so far? What are you going to do? And then you loop back around the why, the pain, the how. But that's what this survey does. So a lot of people just, maybe if you're not utilizing this, survey, especially if you're brand new, you want to utilize it because it does exactly what you need to understand: the framework of a sale, the why, the pain, and the how. Then will your children or family members be responsible for paying for a special plan like this? Who's going to pay for it? No, I'm going to pay for it. Okay, currently, do you have a final expense or burial coverage? Yes or no? Are you looking for traditional? If they say yes, then you know what range to be around. If they want a traditional, you should be able to start somewhere between $5,000 to $7,000. No, I want a cremation, then I might start at 3, 5, and 7. Why would I sell them 20,000 if they only want a cremation? But if they want a traditional, why would I start out at 3,000? I want to start out 5,000, 7,000, 8,000, 10,000. What's your estimated cost on a traditional? Let them tell you what the estimate is, so then you know what range to be in. And then if they say, oh, I want cremation, then you know what range to be in. If you don't know what the range is, go to your funeral estimated cost, brochure, and take a look. What's the cost of a traditional funeral? What's the cost of a cremation? Are your loved ones aware of your preference in funeral arrangements? Make sure you ask that question. Do they know that you want a cremation? Do they know you want traditional? Do they know you want lawn side? Do they know you want church event? Do they know you want in a cathedral? Do they know that? If not, make sure. Which funeral homes in the area would you want to use? Do they know which ones? Do you guys know exactly? I didn't know any of that stuff when I lost my father. No, none of it. Do you already have cemetery plots? If so, where at? Maybe they might be out of state. Who would you want your remains to go to if you're shipping them out of state? How do you pay your monthly bills? Now you find out: savings account, checking account, or other. Have you been diagnosed? Let's find out right now. They're terminally ill. Do they have AIDS, HIV? Are they on medications? Are they modified? You can find all this out before you even get to asking the questions. Are they currently bedridden, hospitalized in a care facility, receiving hospice care? We had one of our people ask us, hey, can we cover children that have congestive heart failure? We had a question over the weekend. Yeah, we can. Are they at least 30 days old? We cover from 30 days up to age 85. Now we just got to figure out, would it be do you think that would be a child rider, or would it be a policy for a child with congestive heart failure?
I say policy.
Why do you say that?
Well, it depends on how much you want to pay for it. I guess it could be a rider if the parent wants to ride. It'll be less if it was the rider.
Think about it.
It can't.
Congestive heart failure.
It can't be a rider because the rider is a term. Our rider is not a whole life. Our rider is actually a term. Did y'all know that?
Till 18, right?
Yeah.
It's a term rider.
That's true.
So they may not qualify.
Right. And what would be, so anybody have the child rider form out?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody can read that? There's 4 questions that are asked when you're doing a child rider. Looks like Stacy got room for one of them plaques up there.
For who?
Stacy got room on his wall for one of them. When you bent over, I saw you had some room on your wall for a Firm Foundation plaque.
Those are all my license.
Okay.
I make some room for it now.
All right. So think about it. The 4 questions on the child rider. Go ahead. Somebody read them out to me.
Pulling them up.
So think about this. A child has congestive heart failure. Anybody got it? Child rider pulled up?
Almost.
Everybody's waiting for Stacy.
No, right?
Stacy volunteered. Stacy volunteered.
So Stacy going for it, man. So I guess.
I'm going. I'm going. Look.
All right.
So it says for the child, and I wonder if everybody even knew that the child rider was a term.
Yeah,
And
$2 for 5,000. I usually don't sell more than 10,000 on a child rider. Tell everybody that. It's going to look funny in the underwriting if you're doing a $20,000 child rider for $8 on your child. I mean, not that you can't do that, but I mean, think about it. It's a child rider.
Cal, doesn't the rider allow them to switch the whole life when they age out?
Yes. Yeah, they could ride all the way up to age 25. And then if you actually take a look in your rate book, if you look at the age from 0 to 25, it's the same rate all the way out. But yes, it allows them to switch over at age 25. Now remember, they have to get in before they turn age 18. If you don't get them in before age 18 and up, then they have to get their own policy.
So, Con, when you say switch over, you just mean at 25, they just have to get their own policy. It has nothing to do with the 10,000 they had, because it's just a term rider until they get 25. It's completely over.
That's correct. That's
Okay.
exactly correct. Yeah.
so the questions are: Has a proposed child? And I'm on the E-app just to see what it says, because I never had any child turned down, and that's a good question. It's a good something good to know, because that's why I found Lincoln, because I used to meet people that were under 50. I want y'all to understand this too, that Lincoln, I think, is one of the only companies that insures unhealthy people under 50.
Yeah.
That's a game changer, guys. I was
Game
running into
changer.
so many people under 50 that could not get insurance, guys. They couldn't even get a final expense policy that was a GI, or guaranteed issue, or modified. They wouldn't even insure them because they start at age 50 to 85. So the fact that Lincoln goes from 0 to 85, and I think only in Occidental, and I see why Dr. Wilson work with these guys, because that's a whole market out there. So it says, has any proposed insured child, grandchild ever been diagnosed or been treated by a member of the medical profession for cancer, complications of diabetes, heart circulatory disorder, cerebral palsy, muscular dystrophy, spinal bifida, and cystic fibrosis? So I'm going to say yes.
Exactly.
And what it says was, based on the answers of the health question, this does not qualify for rider coverage. This may still qualify for individual coverage plan.
There you go. So right now, that's exactly it. So what happens is, when they asked us this weekend, hey, look, can you cover a child, basically with congestive heart failure? Yes, we can, but it's not going to be a child rider. And so that's why you have to know that, because then you think, oh, well, I can just write them up with a child rider. No, that's chronic. That's a chronic condition. And
Does
so,
it matter whether the client is modified or final expense? They can still do a child rider, right? I just wanted to be clear in case I never thought about it. Yeah, okay, it doesn't matter, right? Okay.
Yeah, if the person's modified, they can do it. But again, that child right there is going to be modified.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
So Cal, and guys, I mean, I used to come out of houses with 3, 4, 5 policies sometimes back in the days. When I go in a house, I try to separate the policies anyway. I used to I think I did 15 applications in a week. back in the day, because I would write up the whole family with separate policies. And the reason why I did that was because if one of the loved ones dies and they forget to pay it, it lapses. And I heard that story back then, and that was my story. But think about it, you come out of that house with 2 policies, 3 policies, if that child is unhealthy. And your rebuttal is to that. If they say anything, let them know that the majority, there's only maybe 1 or 2 companies that will insure a child that's unhealthy, that's under 50. And I say this again, I'm talking about Mutual of Omaha, AIG, National Life Group, Occidental and Lincoln was the only one. I work with all of them, Foresters. I mean, all of them companies. I could not insure people under 50. So when you're talking to people, say, hey, do you have somebody that's under 50 that can't get insurance? That is a whole new market for us. And if you just say that, you'll be surprised how many people you'll be able to write up. And this is great. This is great to know, Kyle. 'Cause you guys, the reason this child is turned down because our child rider is a term policy. And term policies do not insure unhealthy people.
So if you take a look at your rate book, take a look at your rate book and look at modified. Look at a modified child. My handy dandy rate book right here. But look at a modified child. If you take a look at the price, what's the price? What's the price on a modified child? Don't matter what age they are. Everybody see that? Male or female? Modified price on a child.
It is the per thousand.
Right, PAC, PAC. Modified on a child. Everybody see that in the rate book? If you're looking at the rate book, and not only is it modified, but how long is it modified?
3 years should be.
3 years. Why?
Under 50.
Right, under 50. Yeah, under 50 years, it's a 3-year modification. So it's a 3-0. So first year, 10%, second year, 20%, third year, 30%. And then after the 3rd year, it's in full effect. But if they're over 50, it's only a 2-year modification. Everybody get that?
$3.04.
Right. So look at that. From 0 to what age?
25.
25. So that's what I shared with you. So it doesn't matter. All the way from 0 to 25, it's the same rate. And if you look at it, if you look at your 20 pay, it's the same thing. If you look at your final expense, it's the same thing. From 0 to 25, it's the same thing, no matter what age they are. And even in the final expense, it don't even matter if they're tobacco or non-tobacco. It's the same thing. Tobacco or non-tobacco from 0 to 25. So that's why, again, just understanding the why, the pain, and the how. And how we basically set yourself up. Like I said, this business, I want to say it again over and over and over time. I love this business. I love what we do. And now I really enjoy it because now I'm having the same fun with my wife. I mean, we literally had a good time, you know, Saturday. But I had a good time with Don. We was out there rocking. It was hot. It was hot like a mug. But we was out there. We had a good time. But again, out there in that street, beating that street, driving all around or whatever, things like that, you got to learn how to work this business smart. You do what it takes to get to where you need to be. But you, again, that ain't where you want to be forever. You know, especially when you're young and vibrant, get out there, you rock and roll, get out there, go hit it. I used to run all day, you know, 10 years ago. Now that ain't it. That's when I was in my 40s. I can run all day. But now I'm in the 60s. I just hit the 60 marks. Now it's like, whoa, Kyle, you know, you can't do that. Lisa's calling me out there. Are you hydrated? You drinking? You need to get something to eat. You need to be eating. So I don't want to fall out there. But I got to learn how to be smarter now. Work smarter. But I just grab a couple leads, go out there and hit it. Instead of running 15 like I used to do in a day, I might run 5. Run 5, come home and get on the phone and then work another 50 or so leads on the phone. But we're hybrid, so we can do that. Any questions, any comments about what we covered here today? Did this help you out?
Yeah, just one question about the comment about the in-home survey, and I'll be honest, guys, I didn't use in-home survey for a long time,
Right.
but because I figured out what to say when I got in the house, but now I don't want to think about what I got to say. So I've been telling you guys that if you don't know what to say, the in-home survey is your script. If you sit down, I figured it out. I was like, whoa, man, I've been shooting myself in the foot. This in-home survey, I keep it on me. When I sit down, first thing I do is start asking questions. And Firm and Dingle, when I was go out with that guy and play golf with him and another guy, that's what they use. They used this back then. They use that in-home survey. And I realize now, I'm understanding, since we're recruiting new people that don't know what to say, this is your presentation in the beginning. And that's why the selling cycle, I started looking at that after the managers meeting, Kyle. That was important. Now I see, if you're not following the selling cycle, you'll just shoot yourself in the foot again. But that in-home survey is powerful in respect, because once you start talking, guess what? You ain't got to say nothing. You answer the question, let them talk.
Yeah.
And now they're opening up. You know everything about them. And then I love, and just asking them about a plot, guys. That's a way to add more to that policy. Cause I talked to a lady the other day. They don't have a plot. She wants to go back to New York and be buried. Boom. We ask you where will you be buried at? So guess what? Now we know they're gonna have to travel. It's gonna cost money. So basically, unlocking all the information you need to give them the right quote. Because if they don't have a plot, okay, I need to add extra $3,000-$4,000 to that policy. Okay, if she's gonna travel, okay, you got to have AD&D. Let me get you 5 to 8 units of that, because they're gonna have to transfer your body back to Long Island. So I'm looking at her policy. I said, "Ma'am, what's your budget?" She said, "I still got extra 500." Okay, so if you want 15,000, that's $246 a month, because you're modified. And I'm glad her daughter was sitting there with her while I was asking those questions, because I'm talking to her and her. And like, okay, guys, I need y'all to go find this so I can come back, and then we can assess and make sure I get her what she needs. So the in-home survey, guys, if you don't know what to say, just pull it out and be a robot. Just be a robot. Trust me, you'll go a long ways.
That's exactly it. Yeah, the in-home survey, the questions are right there, but I want everybody to understand the framework of that. Make sure you understand the why. Okay, make sure you get a clear why. If you do not get a clear why, I'm gonna tell you right now, you will not get a sale, because you haven't made them identify the why. Why did you fill this out? Why did you send this in? Why were you looking at that? What was going on? What was happening in your life at that time? Bring that back up. Stir the pain. Make sure they understand that pain. Oh, you know what? I want experiences. And we were talking to somebody the other day. They said, I don't want to go through that. I don't want my children to go through what we had to go through. Lady told us the other day she had to bury her son. We were sitting at somewhere. We sitting at that event with Leslie. She had to bury her son. She said, "Yeah, I don't want my children to go through that." She had Lincoln Heritage, and we're like, "Oh wow, okay." So she told us what was going on. She said, "Yeah," I said, "I don't want them to go through that." So you got to make sure you stir that pain. Make sure you understand that. I know it seems kind of morbid or whatever, but you got to understand. And we were talking to somebody. Matter of fact, we were talking to somebody Saturday at the event, and Lisa was talking to him, and he told us. He said, "Yeah, he was trained by the mortuary." Go ahead, Lisa. Share with them what they said.
Why are you laughing, Roy?
Because he heard it.
Yeah, now this is a reverend at our church. He used to work in the funeral industry, and he when he came by our table, he was like, he was pointing at our table like, "This is serious. Like this is what's up." And I know his story, and his story, is he showed me the text message between him and his brother, and so that's another part of the story. But where his brother, he was telling his brother to get some insurance, and his brother said, "Okay, I'll look into it." I think a week later, his brother died. He got some insurance on his brother, but a week later, his brother died, and there was nothing wrong with his brother. He didn't have any medical issues or anything like that. So changed his thought process forever about, making sure people are covered. But then before that, he worked in the industry, in the funeral realm, And he just came out and told us, he said, I'm gonna tell you something. He said, I love this program that y'all have, the FCGS. He said, because we were trained, and he was emphasizing that we were trained to basically play on their emotions and get as much money out of them as possible. He said, then once they came and sat down with us at the funeral home, we got a lot of money out of them. We would call them a couple of weeks later and sell them some more stuff. So he said that's what they were trained to do. And he was like, yes, it's those the funeral homes, unfortunately just don't have the person's best interest at heart. It's about the money for them. And that's not, there's probably a small percentage of funeral homes that are still doing right by people, but it's a very small percentage. Most of them, like I said, are trained to get as much money out of you and play on your emotions as possible. And he confirmed it again.
Now,
But Kyle,
but
go
not
ahead.
only did he confirm it, he literally said it's an emotional business. And we know that. As he said it's an emotion. So think about it. When you go out there, you're sitting down with somebody and you're just basically trying to get them covered because you're thinking with your commission breath, hey, how much am I going to make on the sale? We're not thinking about what's going to happen to that family member. What's going to happen to them when they're going out there trying to, and I'm telling you, the reason why I'm probably so passionate about this is because I know what I felt when I was sitting there. I know what I was going through. I know what was going through my mind when I was like, what in the world? What am I going to do? I'm pulling my hair out. I'm like, man, I just lost my dad 48 hours ago. Sudden death, nothing expected. Healthy as can be. No smoking, no drinking, died of a massive heart attack. Why? What was it that brought on this massive heart attack for my father? What was it that did this? Why did he pass away? Because he worried himself to death. He was so worried about his mother, who was sick in the hospital. He was thinking more about her. He had a massive heart attack. He worried himself to death. Guess what happened? 2 weeks later, I lost my grandmother. My grandmother was so sick in the hospital, she couldn't come to her own son's funeral. And then 2 weeks later, she died. I lost my father and my grandmother in 2 weeks. That's why I'm the way I am about this. That's why, because I'm passionate. I know what I felt. I know what I experienced. I know what I went through. And it's unfortunate that, most people, and I don't get me wrong, I don't want to be, like I said, I don't want to be morbid about this, but I just want you to understand how they play on us. And I remember sitting down there. I remember the spooky music they were playing, the soft music, and they quiet and everything and stuff like that. And yet, guess what? I'm sitting there. I'm my mother's only child. I'm the only child she's ever had. I don't have no brothers, no sisters that she had. I'm the only one she's ever had. And my father's gone, and now we're sitting there, and I don't know there's a plan in place. I had no clue. And I'm just in my mind trying to get over it, the fact that I lost my dad, who was 58 years of age. 58 years of age. Think about that. And now they're saying, oh, well, and I remember them showing us the caskets. And I remember the ugly army green casket at the bottom was down below. I remember the Elvis Presley casket was up top. And then I remember the one that they wanted was right in the middle. And that they're set up that way, particularly so you get there. Army green, navy gray, ugly caskets on the bottom. Spooky music playing. I remember all that. And my dad's been gone, 20 years now. And I still remember to this day what it was like. And then I remember looking at my mom, and my mom, she was calm, cool, collective. And I know she mourned. I know she mourned in her own way, but she mourned. But basically, she knew what was in place. I didn't know. And I remember I couldn't even talk at my dad's funeral. My best man at my wedding had to speak at my funeral, at my dad's funeral. A couple months later, when I was there to talk to my mom about it, I'm like, Mom, how did we get through that? She's like, baby, we had a plan. You had a plan? I'm your only son. I know nothing about this plan. What are you talking about? Don't worry about it. I got one too, son. Mom, I ain't trying to collect no time soon. But I want to know, what did my mother have that on the worst day of our life, everything was taken care of? And why didn't I know about this? How many other people are like me? And that's when I realized that, oh my goodness, this is crazy. And that's why I became passionate to me, to make sure people understood, to make sure people knew, to make sure they know what was going on. That's why. And I believe the reason why Lisa is the way she is now. Again, this is a woman I told you before. She said, I ain't a salesperson. I ain't a salesperson. I would do this. Were you licensed before Miss T passed away?
She passed and I think I got licensed after.
Everybody get that. She wasn't licensed when Miss T passed away. And then once again, I know you've heard the story, but I just want you guys to hear it again because I want you to understand. Look at why we are the way we are. It's because of what we experienced. So we're giving this to you. So if you don't have this story, you don't need to have it happen to yourself. Just use ours. But share with them what happened to you, Lisa.
You mean the part where she passed when she passed? Yeah, being in the hospital with her, and when she passed, and I told you to.
What were you to her? Let everybody know what you were to her because they might not know. We got new people and they might not know.
She was actually Kyle's client, and we had gotten close because we used to take her to church with us. And she began to call me her sissy. She said, "That's my sissy," because I became her power of attorney. I became her caregiver, everything. And so I would go into doctor's appointments with her. So, sometimes they wouldn't allow anybody other than family. So I don't know if that's what her plan was, but she just started calling me her sissy. So I started taking care of things. So the day when we got the call that they wanted me to come to the hospital to make a decision about putting her in hospice care, by the time I got to the hospital, she had just passed. And I thought that was just in the final act of her saying, taking that burden off of me because she knew I probably didn't want to do it. So when I got there, when she passed, the doctors came in and they were like, "Well, where do you want to send the body?" And I said, "Oh my goodness, I'm still kind of in shock. She's laying in the bed deceased. And, we did try to resuscitate and all that kind of stuff. And the doctor came over and said, um, basically it was enough because it wasn't gonna do anything to bring her back." So I called Kyle on the phone, like, "Miss T is gone." And he was like, "Oh, wow." He said, "You know what? Remember, call FCGS." So I called FCGS on the phone and, basically gave them her name. And they were like, "Well, we have all her information right here." And he started to tell me she wants to be cremated. She wants to wear white. He told me all the stuff. And I was like, "Oh no, I know all of that. I just need to know a funeral home." He said, "Okay, we'll call you back in about 15 minutes. Now I like to paint the picture. I'm standing there with the doctors. We're at a computer table. There's a computer on it. And, that's what I remember. And, for me to sign the paperwork. And they were telling me to take my time. And I just didn't feel like they were wanting me to take my time. I felt kind of rushed. So when FCGS called me back in less than 10 minutes, I felt a sigh of relief. I was like, "Oh, wow, good. They called me back." I said, "This is them on the phone." And they told me that there's a funeral home right next door to the hospital. They're going to charge $2,200. They said there's another funeral home a couple miles down the road. They're going to charge $1,800. And then they said there's another funeral home a few more miles down the road. They're going to charge $895. So I always like to ask people, which one do you think I chose? And they usually say, "Oh, you chose the 895." I said, "Absolutely. You better believe it." And we usually laugh at that point when I'm talking to people and telling them that story. And I said, "Absolutely, I chose 895." Now I signed the paperwork. It was out of my hands. But I did go and check out the funeral home later on. I didn't have to, but I did because I wanted to make sure, when you're a loved one, you want to make sure everything is on up and up. Went to the funeral home, very nice funeral home, and they did a wonderful job. In fact, I recommend them to people all the time. And I tell people, funeral homes get to charge whatever they want to charge. So, it doesn't mean that they're not a good funeral home. It's just that they're not taking advantage of people. So, or they haven't set their prices so high that people can't pay it or afford it. So I recommend that funeral home. Very nice funeral home. I've got my cards in there and I told them I'm recommending you guys. They said, "Oh, thank you." And, so I have a relationship with them. So that was the story. And I tell people, use that story. If you don't have a story of your own, use that story. In fact, I put that in the script. They went from 2,200 down to 895. They saved me $1,300 on a cremation within minutes, not, taking days to figure out no, minutes, because FCGS has that information right at their fingertips. I didn't have to call around and see who's going to call, how much is it going to cost, what are they going to do. I didn't have to do that. FCGS did that for me. Back to you, Kyle.
Yeah, so that right there, that's what said, both of us have had our experiences with this. And that's the reason why I'm telling you why I believe we're probably so passionate. I'm not saying that that's what you got to go through to get passionate about what we do. But when you understand what you've experienced, what you've been through, and what FCGS and Lincoln Heritage has done, I mean, that's the reason why. And the believability is through the roof. So whatever it takes to get you to that level, unfortunately, I don't want you to have to go through what we've been through, but whatever it takes, you know what I mean? Again, if you don't have a story, utilize ours. Great. Any questions before we go?
Yeah, one question. There's a good way, guys. If you don't got your story to do that, get some death claim leads. Trust me, you'll hear the story. I heard some stories and there's change death claim leads, and you talk to those guys and follow that script and you do that presentation. Trust me, you're gonna hear those stories. And it's gonna be heart-wrenching, and then you'll understand your why. Uh, I'll always commend Lisa on that death claim script, guys. That thing is amazing because it just opens, it don't sell, it just it's a conversation, and that's how I do it. And that thing I've heard some stories and I'm like, wow, okay. I wasn't expecting that. So now those stories become my part of my story and my selling process to people, about people especially with these checks they mail in, these people that's mailing stuff in. I got a guy, he died with it in his pocket. It lapsed. Boom, guess what? I'm glad he had that policy for years, because the paid up edition insurance paid for that funeral. If he had that policy 2 years, they would have been out of luck. So those stories in those death claim leads will and you know will encourage you, inspire you, and also give you a story to tell while you're out there selling. And then also it'll let you know, like that, like the funeral home director said. And I know a lot of those guys, and they love Lincoln Heritage. And he says there's what we're doing is very serious. It's serious, man. So this is more than just selling insurance. This is something else, man. This is a mission. So death claim leads.
Well, Carl, I wanted to say something real quick,
Oh,
a little off the subject, but that's true. Lisa's story is a success story, and my story was a story of not having it. So I got two stories, you know what I mean, to lean on. But I just wanted to say this morning to hear that Christine Austin came back to Lincoln was just very inspiring for me because, she was here and left and everything. Because I listened to her stuff. She's really powerful. And she has done a lot of training and stuff, on YouTube you can follow. For her to make the decision after trying to do her own thing to come back to Lincoln, it was super inspiring for me, So I just wanted to say that because she's been around the block, you know.
And you know what, real quick, because I know Lisa's going to say something, but I used to use her videos and I would send them out to people, especially women, because she showed about being in the field, what she was doing.
Mm-hmm.
She has a whole bunch of videos out there that you guys can check her out. But I mean, she's been working, doing it for a long time. And yeah, but see her now, she's part of UBI. I mean, you never know. No to me, no, but you never know. But yeah, but outstanding. Good job.
Yeah, that says a lot to know the power of Lincoln. It was inspiring.
And
That's what I'm saying.
especially when people leave and they see what it's like outside, they're
Hmm.
like, oh my, let me get back home.
Yeah.
Let me get back home.
Yeah.
But see, some of you guys don't have to go through that because you're already here. Go ahead, Lisa.
I was just gonna say about the FCGS, that's why it's so important to lead with that. You lead with FCGS. And when I was telling Roy just the other day, when we got all these leads, I said, you know what? I know people, we're gonna talk insurance, but when I contact them, I'm gonna say, I know we're gonna talk about the insurance, but what I wanna talk to you about is the FCGS program. Again, that was what even when I was talking to them at the table, I was telling them more about the FCGS, and they were like being wowed by that. I said, you can get insurance anywhere, but let me tell you what comes along with that insurance is FCGS. So lead with that. The other thing is, we ran into a lady who was a cancer survivor. These are people that think that they cannot get coverage. People on dialysis think they can't get coverage. So we're partnering with her, and going to talk to some people that are cancer survivors. Like I said, they think that they cannot get covered. They don't know about us. So if go to clinics or, things like that, dialysis places. I've sat in dialysis offices where people was at with Devia or whatever it's called. I've sat in there and just had conversations with people. They was like, oh, I didn't think I could get coverage. Just sat in the lobby just talking to them. The receptionist wasn't around, so I was able to sit in there. There's you can sit outside where they have their oncology appointments at clinics or hospitals or something like that. Sit outside with your shirt on and just approach them. You probably know some of these people that are coming out of there. They probably feel like they can't get covered. So I just wanted to put that out there, but lead with that. And then just so y'all, I know y'all probably heard the announcements on the call this morning, but Monday webinars for new people is now available on Thursdays, and the next boot camp is August 5th, 6th, and 7th for if you got new people that need to go. So just want to put that out there.
All right, good. Anybody got anything else in closing?
Yeah, I didn't hear that part. Monday webinars are now available on Thursday.
Yes, those recordings, the ones for the what is it,
Calling-
leads?
You called using the same number?
Yeah, they didn't say anything about. I'm pretty sure it's probably the same. It's just now they're doing it also on Thursday.
To be honest with you, it's actually available every day of the week.
Thank you for being.
It only allows you to register for those days, though.
No, you can. If you go to UBI 24, you can actually.
Oh yeah.
You actually go to UBI 24. You can get on any one of those webinars every day of the week.
Okay.
Except for you got to do the lead one in person. But that's great because now nobody can do Monday, they can do Thursday for the leads webinar.
Yeah. So I mean, so that's why I said you get on them and check it out. But I just, I would only tell certain people that because I really one of the ways that we could test people is say, hey, look, all right, so on Monday, are you going to get on there and see if they get on there? If they're really serious, then they'll do it. If they don't, then after that, that's the way to kind of judge how serious are they about the business. But yeah, but in all actuality, so since this group is so small, I figured I'd let that secret out. All right, good. All right, anybody got the last day of the week is Wednesday, so we're gonna have one more of these meetings before I mean, excuse me, last day of the week is Thursday, so we're gonna have one more meeting on Wednesday. But other than that, remember you can hit your $8 grand to get qualified for the ticket for the car. Come on, let's go, let's push. All right, let's make it happen. All right, Carl's got any questions? All right, everybody have a good one. Be safe. Bye now.
Bye, everybody.
Hydrate. Hot out there. Hydrate.
Bye.
Yeah.